Hey, we're back with A Blade So Black. Alice and Hada are flirting again. And it's about a year out since she met him. So let's jump right into them pretending that they don't like each other. Yep. Alice started toward the gateway, happy to put as much distance between herself and that lingering stank as possible. Hada moved at her side, seeming to glide over the brush while she plowed through, smacking leaves and vines out of her way. Cool, crisp air gradually banished most of the foul smell, though a faint whiff did follow them. No doubt her shoes and clothes. Ugh. Are you sure you're all right? Hada watched her from the corner of his eyes. You're favoring your left leg. Hit my knee pretty hard when I landed. I'm cool, though. He didn't sound convinced. He drew a hand from his pocket, fingers wrapped around the handle of an ornate mirror, the kind the Queen of England would own, and much too big to be carried around in someone's pants, but, Wonderland. An intricate curl in the mirror's metallic back formed the raised profile of a woman's face. Alice had seen the mirror a number of times and asked about it. It belonged to a friend, Hada explained, and that was all she got. I'll have Maddie prepare something for the pain. Alice rolled her eyes. I said I'm fine. I know. He knocked 3 times against the reflective surface of the mirror. Open my eyes. The glass rippled before swirling into itself. Color poured through the chaos like drops of paint and water. Alice had a similar mirror, though much smaller and less fancy. Hada gave it to her after she killed her first nightmare. Was in it for the long haul then. The mirrors acted like magic phones, but you could only use FaceTime. She preferred actual phones and kept her mirror buried in her locker. It used to stay in her room until Hada called her one evening and Mom was certain Alice was smuggling boys into her room. She took the door off the hinges and kept it. For a month. Who does that? Finally, the swirl of colored light and silver evened out to reveal Maddie's yawning face. Twinkle who? Madeline, wake up, Hada said cheerfully. But it's star time, Maddie huffed. I know, but Alice got a little banged up and she needs something to set her right. Nuh-uh, Alice called as she stepped around a large pink stone. And no, I don't. Hada ignored her. Do you think you could whip something up by the time we get back? Maddie blinked again, her eyes now orange. She nodded, and a veil of stringy black curls fell around her face. Full moons mean empty glasses. She gave a thumbs up. Great, see you in a tick. Maddie waved before her image faded into the mirror was a mirror again. And the mirror was a mirror again. Do you not know what I'm fine means? Alice cut him some side-eye. Yes, Hada drawled and shoved the mirror back into his pocket. And you probably are, but if your knee bothers you in the morning, you'll have something. Yeah, he was right, and it was likely her arm, and it would likely help her arm too, which still throbbed slightly. She'd had worse, but this didn't tickle. Finally, they broke through the forest edge into the meadow. Another cloudy night hung over them, pale green clouds, puffy and shining with blue moonlight. Breaks in the billows revealed the splintered, starless sky. A faint golden glow peeked through the cracks. The midnight breaking had come and gone, but that didn't mean anything. Time passed much more erratically here than in the real world. Sometimes an hour back home could equal a day here, or a week. One of the reasons Hada suggested she never spend more time here than absolutely necessary. Across the meadow, Wimbledeglow's wood stood as a beacon in the night. Curiouser, Hada glanced around as they approached the glow. What? Nothing, but maybe everything. Hada sometimes. Oh boy, here we go. Wonderlandians may speak every language, but sometimes they don't make a lick of sense. That was the 9th incident this month, Hada said. 10th, she corrected. There was the twofer this past Saturday. Right, said Hada. How are you doing? His voice softened and sent butterflies skittering through her insides. Better, she swallowed. Said twofer hit a little close to home. Normally, dreamwalkers were immune to the influences of nightmares. But if it was a fear close to your heart, it could get to you anyway. A week before the fight, police shot a black girl, 17, same age as Alice. Her name was Breanne Matthews. It happened in the parking lot after a football game at a school across town. Nothing the news said made sense. Something about a fight between gangs and some people had guns. The girl had on one gang's color, but so did a lot of people. They were the same colors as one of the teams playing that night. Over the next few days, things were kind of chaotic. Protests and arrests. Of course, some mofos came in trying to start trouble. So many people were hurt, angry, and so afraid. It was enough to create 2 nightmares. Alice had felt that fear, a physical thing that ate away at her from the inside. It left her hollow, shaking, and useless. If Hadda hadn't been there. Alice? Hadda's voice pulled at her. He stood at the edge of the glow, eyes on her, concern illuminated in their light. Are you all right, love? Fine, she breathed and nodded. Just tired. She was seriously feeling every bone and muscle in her body right now. A hot shower and her bed were singing her song. Let's get you home then. He curled his fingers, beckoning. She grasped his hand, the rest of her body stiff with chills, and followed him into the glow. Its haunting shine wrapped around her. In all of Wonderland, this was her favorite place. She swatted at bouncing flits and sparks as they dipped in and out of her vision like fiery cotton balls, and she took care not to step on the blossoms scattered across the ground like Christmas lights. Flowers never wasted an opportunity to whine about being trampled. They walked in silence until eventually, soft earth gave way to the hard stone of the gateway platform beneath her feet. Hadda released her hand, her skin prickled at the loss, and she tucked her hand under her arm. At the center of the terrace, he stretched out his arm. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the air in front of him split down the middle and curled outward like a well-used scroll. Pale light spilled out around him, the gateway drawing open to about the size of a large door. Turning to her, he angled forward and extended a hand. Your chariot awaits, milady. Feeling a familiar warmth crawl up the back of her neck, she grasped his hand and stepped through the gateway and into his arms. They wrapped around her, muscle concealed by lengthy sleeves. As light enveloped the two of them, he settled his chin atop her head. Her arms wound around his waist, and she got a faint whiff of nightmare stink. It amazed her how the smell didn't seem to bother him. Every time she ended up covered in the stuff, he took her into his arms like it was nothing. Her cheeks warmed at the thought as the gateway folded in behind her, the air sewing itself shut. The light faded, leaving them floating in darkness. She closed her eyes and held her breath. Man, she hated this part. When the scream of wind died away and the floor solidified beneath her feet, she stood shaking and trying hard to keep her stomach in check. She hadn't eaten before going through the veil. What was even in there to come up? You okay? Hadda murmured near her ear. She nodded rapidly, fighting to regain control of her breathing enough to manage words. I'm fine, she half gasped, half burped, then groaned. Sexy, Kingston. Real sexy. After all this time, still not used to it. He chuckled and let go, taking with him her means of stability. One hand shot out to brace against the wall. My stomach does not appreciate being spun through the universe like old socks in a washer. She flapped her other hand at him. Open the door. Light and sound burst into the space as he stepped out. Stable, Alice moved to follow, but something caught her foot. With an undignified squawk, she fell against the door jamb. A mop lay across the floor, snagged on the toe of her shoe. Grumbling, she kicked it into the closet and slammed the door. Blessed with increased speed and agility, incredible strength and dexterity, abilities no normal human being possessed, and she trips over a mop. Complications? Hadda had stopped at the end of the hallway where it angled to the left and out of sight. The sound of laughter, music, and clacking billiard balls poured in from behind him. Shaking her head, Alice waved him on. I'm fine. Gonna clean up. She steadied herself against the wall, the faux wood cool beneath her fingers. I'll wait for you out front. She disappeared around the corner. A chorus of cheers greeted him. Alice shuffled after him but veered left into the ladies' room. She locked the door and turned the water on full blast. Cupping her hands beneath the spout, she splashed her face again and again. The sudden shock of cold helped tamp the nausea churning in her gut. She snatched paper towels from the dispenser to wipe her face and jerked when their roughness scraped a tender area near her temple. Staring at her reflection, she pushed her hair back to reveal scratches on the side of her face. They were barely bleeding. Smoothing her fingers against her brown cheeks, she wrangled her ebony locks and tied them off. If she didn't count the stains on her jeans and shoes, she looked presentable. She couldn't do anything about the smell, though. It wasn't so bad anymore, but her nose still scrunched whenever she caught a whiff. Yeah, this outfit was definitely done. She'd spent a grip on these shoes, too. After a few finishing touches, she made her way out front. Hadda stood behind the bar, talking to Maddie. Above them, the cat clock ticked and wagged away. 10:34 p.m. Crap, it wasn't too late, but Mom would still probably have a cow. Hey, I need to head out. Pretty sure my mom's already gonna bust me. Better not make it worse. Right. Hadda sat a small vial of purple liquid on the counter. Maddie worked her poetic magic. It was, Maddie muttered, her head tilted against her hand on the bar. Nothing not worth everything. Thanks. Alice pocketed the vial as Hadda produced her backpack and purse from behind the bar. She traded him her belt and daggers and hurriedly pulled out her phone. Technology didn't work in Wonderland, so she usually left it at the bar or with her best friend Courtney, who would cover for her. Court had tennis practice today, so Alice was on her own. She missed 6 missed calls and twice as many texts. Yikes. She didn't read any of them, but caught a glimpse of a threat to put her in traction if she didn't pick up her phone. I'll see you guys later, she said as she struggled into her pack with one hand, the other speeding over her phone to let Court know she was back, but probably wouldn't be at school tomorrow, since her mom was going to eat her alive. Be safe. The door swung shut behind her, cutting off Hadda as Alice stepped out onto the street. Downtown Atlanta sparkled in the distance. She took off toward the nearest MARTA station, praying the red line hadn't run yet. Hopefully, by the time she made it home, Mom would be asleep. Alice really didn't want to have to explain why she was burning a brand new pair of shoes. And that's where we're going to stop for today. I'm excited because I kind of want to know a little bit more about what her life is like now, that she's traveling to Wonderland all the time and killing nightmares. See you next time.